Hello, and welcome to the Joyful Rebels podcast, where rebellion meets wellness. We've got Claire and Donna Thomas here, your mother daughter duo, and we're here to bring you insight, some science, and maybe some laughs in our shared pursuit of finding more peace, more joy, and more balance in our physical and mental health. Thank you so much for listening, for joining us today as we share some practical tips to empower you on your journey to living your best life. We're going to continue on, keep chugging along with our new format because we're enjoying it
Mhm.
and people are enjoying it too. So thank you for your feedback. So ask the Joyful Rebels. You ask, we answer. And today's question is a fun one. I love it. So I'm going to throw it out there again. And Mom would love to hear your take on this question. How do you make a dream come true? And just to clarify a little bit, okay, we're not totally Disney princessing over here, but do you have tips, strategy, mindset? How do we go from thought to action? How do you make a dream come true?
Hmm. Speak for yourself on Disney princessing over here. You have no idea what's happening in my head. Uh, but no, and thanks everybody as you're listening and you like to hear the conversation. And that's what when we ask a question and we just can banter back and forth. I love it that you're picking up nuggets that resonate with you because there might be one or two from me and there's one or two from Claire. And so that combo seems to be helpful. So thanks for letting us know that you like that. Because I like it too. And Claire, I think you do too. And that's the whole reason why we started having conversations and then we recorded them for podcasts. So staying true to ourselves has been fun. And as we pull back the lens and look about how do you make a dream come true, it's been top of mind because dreams can look a lot of different ways. And it could be something small. Like I love how we tend to focus on physical stuff and then mental well-being, like those two coupled together. So even in either one of those realms, as I look at it, that if I look at a dream, it's far away. And it's something that I have a desire for. I may not have the skills or the time or the fill in the blank, whatever it is, to get from A to B. And as I'm looking at this question, it became really clear to me that I don't look at the steps that get me there. I look at the next thing. I look in really small increments in order to start movement because movement for me creates more momentum. And I think that's interesting as I reflect on that because I may only get this far toward the dream, but with awareness and movement and trust, I always get over there to what I want. I mean, I really do. Not that I get everything that I want in life, but if there's something that really is important to me, I always do make it over there because somehow I make it happen, but I do it in these little small increments because as I reflect back, which I don't know how if this works for you, Claire, or if you're listening, anybody else, when I'm trying to come up with why I think about something, it pays for me to look in the rearview mirror too. And I think as a kid, I had such a challenge and it was such a tough upbringing that I always was looking for ways to maximize a situation. How do I make it better? Just sometimes it was a little bit, sometimes it was a little bit more. What was in my control to do that? So I don't leave that on the table. If there's a little bit of something that I can do to make the situation better, or in this case, move toward a goal, I do it. So that is a refined skill for me if it's just little. And it's interesting because in Western culture, sometimes that little movement is not given its due. It's not given the proper thank you or the encouragement and the importance of making the big things happen. But for me, it's not that I'm small picture, but but I don't paint it all out like I know every single step of the way. I believe that once I take the first step, the rest of it will be revealed and I'll get more information. I'll think about it, I'll synthesize that, and then I'll make the next step. But I have been encouraged all these, 62 years here now that does happen over and over and over and over again. And if you're somebody that likes the whole picture and sometimes you don't move off the mark, please don't discount the small moves because the small decisions that create some momentum for you, for us, can really be powerful. And realize that that is the case. And they're not just throwaway individual movements. They are things that eventually create a pattern. So that's how I make a dream come true. Maximize the situation, do a small movement to get moving, to create momentum, and the rest of it just lays out pretty organically. It feels like that doesn't feel like a big pushing a boulder up a hill. That feels like natural to me. How's that land for you, Claire?
I think that's some of the most important advice that I've ever had and taken, and just it's so important, these small movements. So I love how you talked about the small increments, and I completely agree. A lot of the times those little tiny things that we do to get towards our goal, it's like if only we're noticing it, it feels insignificant. But it's
Mm,
those little tiny movements, like as long as we're going in the right direction. I was just talking to a friend recently who's got a big move coming up, and she's like, I'm not sure exactly where I'm going to land, but I think this is the direction I want to go. And I said, well, isn't that the thing? Like, I think that sounds like you're doing exactly what you need to be doing,
mhm,
because how many of us are 100% sure of where it is? And mom, I'm the same as you. I've got dreams and I'll think of big picture where I want to go. But tell me if you've ever done this. Sometimes I'll get really bogged down by it. Oh, that dream, that's way over
mhm,
there. Oh, hold on a second. To get there, I have to do this, then this over there. Wait, now that's a million things. And what's going to happen? Like,
mhm,
balloon deflates. I can't do this anymore. And even if you go into it with motivation, oh, yeah, I'm feeling great about this. We all know motivation, it comes and it goes. And that's not something that we can rely on to keep moving us forward. So I love how you said movement can lead to the momentum, because that's what we're going for. The momentum. It's just, have we done, even if it's a little thing moving towards our dream, have we done it? Have we strung some days together, right? And all of a sudden we're at a different spot than where we started, right? And sometimes the movement is so small that you don't even realize until you take an intentional step back and look, whoa, okay, like time is going to pass anyways, right?
mhm,
So are we going to be in the same spot we are today, or do we want to be somewhere different? And so that kind of leads to how I would answer this question. So how do I, make a dream come true? um, it's interesting because, mom, you mentioned like rear view mirror and being able to reflect, and for some of the major decisions I made, especially recently in my life, if you remember, I'll back up one step. I talked about recently some, why, the motivation behind wanting to make a change. And for me, it's making sure that's not coming from a pain point, like an
mhm,
acute, oh, I feel really badly, so now I need to do, I, whatever it is. I drank this bottle of wine, so now I'm never going to drink again. And then by 5 o'clock, oh, the pain point went away, the motivation went away. Um, but something that's similar but different is I like to jump ahead to the future and then kind of look back and imagine your life if you didn't go after this goal, let's say. And so if you recall, we had a whole episode on regret, and there's those two types of regret. There's the regret of doing something, and maybe that could cause an acute pain point. Oh, I can't believe I said that. Oh, I can't believe I did this thing. But then there's that more insidious, lurking, long-term regret. Oh, I wish I would have gone for that thing. Oh, I can't believe I didn't do that. And I found that as I'm getting older, as I'm intentionally spending more time reflecting, that type of stuff becomes important to me. So, what I try to do, so for me, how do I tip something from thought to action? How do I go after the goal? The first step is actually having a think about it, right? Thinking about your why for something, but reflecting, if I don't go for this, and mom, we were talking before and you said something, I loved it, like the imagined absence of something, like using some
mhm,
creativity, like imagining what it would be like if you didn't go after the goal. And for me, that was eliciting a strong enough response where I said, no, this isn't something I could ignore. It's bothering me now.
mhm,
It's going to bother me in 5 years. It's going to bother me in 10 years. It actually bothered me 10 years ago when I was already running away from this goal and trying to convince myself that it was too hard and too far and I wasn't good enough. So that's another interesting thing. When you do reflect back in time, you might say, oh, this has already popped up for me multiple times. And I mean, I'm a smart person. I know how to argue and I can convince myself to ignore something. Oh, no, no, convince it away, right? If you're listening, does that sound like you at all? I can
mhm,
convince myself all the reasons not to do something. But if it keeps popping up, maybe that's something that we don't want to ignore. So asking that question, what do I not want to regret? Has this shown up for me before? And then the second important piece for me of tipping that from thought to action for going after the dream, after I've done some reflection, is having an awareness that there's no right time.
Mm,
That for me is so important to have front and center in my mind when I'm thinking about doing something new, because so easily, probably just as quickly as my motivation goes away, all the thoughts flood my mind about how difficult the goal is. And even if, mom, I've done what you said and I'm trying really hard to just work on these baby steps because I know it's sustainable, those thoughts will still creep in. Imposter syndrome, everything with it, everything that comes along with it. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I don't have enough time. It's too late in life for me to be able to make some major life changes. So instead of convincing myself all the reasons not to, that's when I'm going to, on purpose, try to notice, okay, that's that first thing, turn your
yep.
awareness light on. And then on purpose, I'm going to make myself think about what could go right. And this is something that I say to my kids all the time. If you notice you're thinking about the negatives, even if it feels really clunky and weird, start to say some positives, either out loud or in your head, because your brain can only hold so much. I know I've said this before. We can only think about so much at once. Am I going to let the negative thoughts run free and take up all the space they want? You know, you've heard that. You're letting someone live rent free in your head. No, 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 no. I'm going to on purpose think about what could go right. I'm going to dream big.
Mm,
I'm going to, because you know what? Here's my favorite question. If I start to say, why me? Like, why am I? Who am I to think that I could do this stream? Why not me?
mm,
Why not me? And that has been, if we're going to say like a mantra when it comes to how do you make your dream come true? Why not me? What is out there? Who is out there telling me that I can't do it? And hopefully you don't have anyone in your circle that's trying to crush your
mhm,
dreams. Like maybe you reevaluate your circle. More than likely, it might be coming from in here, inside. Oh, you can't do this. All these reasons why not. Why not me? That's where I'm been going. Why me? Why not me? What do you
mm.
think?
Gosh, I think that's so that's a voice that continues when I speak with my peers too. So having that, why me? Because just because. And it's one that again we can turn the volume down on and not let it stop our thoughts, just like you're doing, Claire. And I think that that's awesome. That's a great practice to get into because this world just keeps changing. So the opportunities and the things that are available to us that we know of are really cool, but there's a lot of stuff we don't even know that's
Mm,
even possible. So I love it how you're saying, why not me? I would add to that, and that's a standalone comment, mantra, mindset. But if you can't see what it looks like from your imagination or just that you dare to dream so big, then maybe you're just going to go first. And I've
mm,
been looking at that lately too. Like I don't have it, but I'm just going first on this one. And that one feels not neutral, but it doesn't feel, it feels grounded.
mm,
Like I don't know that this has been done before. And I don't have, I'm going to say, I don't really have the imagination to dream up some of the things, but I know I want to be over in this area. So I'm just going to go first, whether it's first in my family, whether it's first in my friend group or my community. And when you lead the way that way, then everything's in wonder. And whether you take the small steps or you can really look back to say like this is something that's been around forever, it creates this deep knowing that this is where I should be. And when this conviction is in there, you make it happen. And I have appreciated all the different ways that it shows up. And for me, it's the little steps. Claire, you're going to just know that you've got a big burning engine behind you that keeps propelling you forward. And I agree with you. Last comment from me is there is no great time for this stuff. The
mm.
few opportunities where I've had a life shift and all of a sudden there's time, which is usually it is a precious commodity. We wait for that to open up for us, but you may not have the thought process or the passion or the vision. So like there's a lot of things that converge to make things happen. And if you're just waiting for it's not the right time, that is time not well spent.
Mm.
Like pick another reason to hold yourself back. That's not a good one. And that is proven to not be a good one. So if nothing else happens but you take that off the table today, then that's time well spent listening while you're walking the dog or getting some fresh air or doing whatever as you're listening to us. But know that you can make a dream happen in lots of different ways because what is meant for you will not miss you.
I love that. I absolutely love that. The older I get, the more I'm digging my heels in on that one. I
Mm,
do truly believe it.
same.
Thank you for everyone who's listening. Keep sending us your questions. We love it. We love that you're joining us, listening. We're doing this thing together. And how do you make a dream come true? Maybe you try it with the small steps. Maybe you reflect, and maybe your new mantra is, I'll go first.
Mm.
Until next time, Rebels.